Grade 7, Quiz 17. Resilient Hearts for Deep Sea Divers by Esther Landouis. New research gives insight into how mammals that dive into the water can perform so much hard work while also holding their breaths for a really long time. Paragraph 1. Many of us struggle to hold our breath for a minute. It's not unusual, however, for seals and other marine mammals to take hour-long plunges underwater and swim pretty fast during that time. How do these deep diving mammals pull it off? It's not as straightforward as biologists had thought. A new study shows. Paragraph 2. Diving mammals have a few physiological tricks that help them stay underwater for much longer than people can. First, they can hold more oxygen in their blood and muscles. It's like having an internal scuba tank. Paragraph 3. And to make the oxygen in their tanks last longer, their hearts can slow down, way down. In the 1930s, scientists discovered that when a seal goes underwater, its heartbeat, also known as a heart rate, can plummet quickly to a mere 4 or 5 beats per minute. By comparison, a doctor would panic if your pulse dropped below 30. Paragraph 4. But no one knew how reliable those early experiments were. The test conditions were artificial. Researchers brought seals into the lab, dunked each animal's head into a tub of water, and measured its heart rate. What scientists really wanted to know, though, was how marine mammals might adjust their heart activity in the wild, when taking a playful dip, for example, or diving for food. We have a photograph, figure 1, artist's rendition of a Weddell seal fitted with an instrument that measures its heart rate while diving in Antarctic waters. Paragraph 5. The scientists also recognize a puzzle. When people sprint or bike or otherwise work up a sweat, their heart rate skyrockets. By pumping more frequently, the heart can send more oxygen to muscles. One would expect the same exercise response in sea mammals. After all, when a hungry seal takes a plunge, it swims vigorously to catch its next meal. But it would seem that the animal's heart rate must remain low if it is to spend an hour or more underwater and not use up all the oxygen in its lungs and blood. Lowering its heart rate as part of the seal's dive response. So which wins out, the dive response or exercise response? To find the answer, Terry Williams and her team studied Weddell seals, a seal species common in Antarctica. We wanted to know what happens to their heart rate when they dive to different depths, and what happens when they exercise. Williams explained to Science News for students. Williams is an animal psychologist. She works at the University of California, Santa Cruz. Paragraph 7. Her group designed a special instrument that the animals wore during their dives. It contained several electronic devices, all fit into a sturdy metal tube about 15.2 centimeters, 6 inches, long and 2.5 centimeters, 1 inch wide. The instrument stayed on the animals as they dove to depths of as much as 390 meters, 1,300 feet. That's about as deep as the Empire State Building is tall. The researchers glued the instrument to a piece of synthetic rubber and then attached that to the animal's skin. The instrument monitored the animal's heart rate. It also recorded how deep it plunged and how fast it stroked its flippers. Scientists had made some of these measurements before, but never all at once on an animal in the wild. For the seal data, the scientists trekked to the coldest, driest place on Earth, Antarctica. Besides the sheer adventure of braving white desolation and temperatures of negative 10 degrees to negative 30 degrees Celsius, or 14 degrees to negative 22 degrees Fahrenheit, there are practical reasons for studying seals at the bottom of the Earth. Because much of the ocean's surface there is frozen, seals can haul out only at large cracks and holes in the ice. William notes, using satellite and radio tags attached to the seals, the researchers can locate where the animals haul out and then collect their instruments and data. Fortunately, despite being huge, about as big as a grizzly bear, Weddell seals are mild-mannered and easy to work with. Williams told Science News for students. Still, it was not a piece of cake. The time it takes to find a seal, bring it back to camp, and dry its fur to attach the instruments, that's a good chunk of your day right there, she explains. In all, the researchers monitored 3 seals as they made a total of 91 dives. As shown in previous work by Williams and others, the animal's heart rate dropped sharply during dives. However, a closer look at the numbers turned up something new. How deep the animals dove and how rapidly they swam influenced how much the animal's heart rate slowed. The heart beat much more slowly in deep waters and not quite as slowly during active swimming. In other words, ocean depths and exercise appeared to have competing effects on heart activity. Williams' team published its findings January 16th in Nature Communications. Question 1. The following sentences from the article all explain why seals can dive deep and swim fast while holding their breath for a long time, except A. First, they can hold more oxygen in their blood and muscles, paragraph 2. B. And to make the oxygen in their tanks last longer, their hearts can slow down, way down, paragraph 3. C. Fortunately, despite being huge, about as big as a grizzly bear, Weddell seals are mild-mannered and easy to work with. Williams told Science News for students, paragraph 10. D. The heart beat much more slowly in deep waters and not quite that slowly during active swimming, paragraph 12. Question 2. Paragraph 3, the author writes, in the 1930s, scientists discovered that when a seal goes underwater, its heartbeat, also known as heart rate, can plummet quickly to a mere 4 or 5 beats per minute. As used here, plummet means A. Drop at high speed, B. Rise at high speed, C. Remain fairly even, D. Rise and fall repeatedly. 3. Paragraphs 3 and 4, the author describes how early experiments were conducted to measure a seal's heart rate. Why does the author include this description? A. To describe why a seal can hold its breath for a long time. B. To compare human pulse rates to those of deep diving wild animals. C. To describe how a seal adjusts his heart rate while in the wild. D. To explain limitations faced by scientists conducting early experiments. Four. Which statement best summarizes the information included in paragraphs 7 and 8? A. Williams' team designed a small and sturdy instrument that attached to a seal's back and measures heart rate, depth reached, and swim speed while the seal swims in the wild. B. The instrument designed by Williams' team is small enough to fit on a seal's back and sturdy enough to stay on while seal swims very fast and very deep in the wild. C. Williams' team was interested in designing an instrument that would be capable of taking numerous measurements at the same time, heart rate, depth, and speed. D. The instrument designed by Williams' team uses synthetic rubber so that it can attach painlessly to the seal's skin on his back and allow the seal to swim freely in the wild. 5. Which statement is supported by sufficient evidence from the article? A. The seal's heart rate drops lower when it dives deep in colder water versus warmer water. B. Seals and diving mammals have special traits that allow them to swim fast and hold their breath underwater for long periods of time. C. Depths and speed of dives control the heart rates of all mammals that swim. D. An animal's diving heart rate is influenced more by its swimming speed than its diet. 6. What question were scientists who studied seals trying to answer? Were they successful? Use at least 2 details from the text to support your response. Remember, when Ms. Trombley and I come around, we are looking for annotations, many main ideas, a central idea, and breaking down the question and breaking down the prompt. You can ask Ms. Trombley or I to reread something if the video is going too fast.